What cannot be concluded from the passage? A. Peck was not the first to reach the summit of Mount Huascaran. B. Peck began the climb to Mount Huascaran before September of 1908. C. Peck climbed additional mountains after reaching the summit of Mount Corapuna. Or D. It was not simple for Peck to raise money to fund the climbing expeditions. Because we are being asked what cannot be concluded based on the passage, let's go through each choice and see if there's proof backing it up in the text. If we can find proof backing it up, it's not our answer. Starting with A. Peck was not the first to reach the summit of Mount Huascaran. We find proof for this in the 6th paragraph, which tells us that when Peck and her two guides were a short distance from the top, they stopped to determine the exact height of the mountain. One of the guides took advantage of Peck's distraction to climb the few remaining feet to the summit so that he could boast that he had been there before her. Because there is proof in the text that someone else technically made it to the summit before Peck, and we are looking for something that cannot be backed up in the text, this can be marked as incorrect. B. Peck began the climb to Mount Huascaran before September of 1908. We see in the 6th paragraph that on August 28th, Peck and her crew set off again, and that on September 2nd, 1908, Annie Peck finally stood at the top of Mount Huascaran. Because we see from the text that they started on August 28th, which is before September of 1908, which is what our statement is implying, this too can be marked as incorrect. C. Peck climbed additional mountains after reaching the summit of Mount Corapuna. We see Peck climbing Mount Corapuna mentioned in the 7th paragraph, which tells us that several years later, that is, several years after she climbed Mount Huascaran, she returned to Peru to climb Mount Corapuna. At the summit, she left a banner that read "Votes for Women." The text goes on to tell us that for the rest of her life, Peck lectured and wrote about women's rights, her expeditions, and life in South America. Because it doesn't say anywhere that she climbed another mountain, which is what our choice is suggesting, this is likely our answer, as it can't be backed up in the text. Just in case, let's check out choice D. It was not simple for Peck to raise money to fund the climbing expeditions. We see mention of Peck collecting funds in the 4th paragraph, which tells us that Peck struggled at least as much to raise money as she did to climb her beloved mountains. Because the text tells us explicitly that Peck struggled to raise money and compares the struggle to climbing a mountain, this can be backed up in the text and is therefore not our correct answer, and we can mark C. Peck climbed additional mountains after reaching the summit of Mount Corapuna as our final answer.